Oh my gosh, how are you?
Amazing, and welcome again.
Heck yeah. We're doing it.
Yes.
Love
So
it.
thank you for anyone who's joining us today. This is part 2 of our conversation. Anne Marie was just saying how perfect of a day could we be, and I'll let you fill in the blank.
Well, when you and I initially had this convo, Kai, we were just in a pre-planning discussion.
Yeah.
And so we were like, yeah, let's just choose these days and these days. But this morning, when I woke up, I realized I was like, this was not accidental, but subconsciously deliberate and even intentional because you offering this platform for women to be seen is the invitation for a lot of women right now who are feeling caught up between the past of who they were and who they're becoming. And queens, this is the day to step through and leave that old version behind.
Yeah.
It's a magical day because with the 8-8 portal, we're really getting this planetary beam from Sirius, which is expanding our sense of understanding, awareness, and even sense of self. Like there's nothing more perfect to shake off the spiritual amnesia than today to step through this portal and say, I am giving myself permission to become this version of me now, not
Yeah.
tomorrow, not later, right
Yeah.
now. So I'm celebrating with you.
And I'm curious because you're saying like give yourself permission. Why would someone feel like they need to have permission? Like, how does that even become part of the equation from your
Yeah.
experience?
Oh, absolutely. I've worked with thousands of people in the Akashic records, and there's this common theme that I have observed working with so many clients is that sometimes people are on hold. They're waiting for something, someone, some kind of sign for them to like step into whatever it is they want. And that permission is only one part. The
Mm,
permission is the active. But if we don't ever receive ourselves, that's the second part.
wow.
Yeah, that's the balance right there. And if we don't
Okay.
give ourselves the permission, we're always putting ourselves behind someone else's authority. And this is really the season for so many women, women of color, to step up to the plate, rise, and claim what they want in this very short, precious life that we've got.
Yeah.
So if we don't give ourselves permission granted right now. Take it. Go for it.
Thank you. I received that.
Heck yeah. You're on it. Love it.
What do you typically like to do on this day?
Well, right after this call, I'm
Mhm.
going to actually go live with a Lionsgate 8-8 meditation. And that is the call to step into the future being because there's this bridge that we live in. We're always seeing the world through the filter of our past. So when we're looking at ourselves, even in the mirror, we're looking at ourselves through the lens of the past.
Yeah.
And I realized that this is where a lot of people get tripped up. So after this call, I'm going to help folks. I'm going to anchor this future self and we're going to step into it. And when you leave that, you're going to be very elevated. So usually on 8-8, I offer some kind of gift to the world because that's part of being in service. And then after that, Queen, I am locked down for sessions from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. I told my husband, after I'm done with this day, you have got to take me out. Not like out of the world, but like take me out for a good time. Have a treat me well.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, for me, 2 years ago, this day was really significant because one, it was the passing of my grandmother, and we were just talking about, being there and being with people as they're passing away. And that was the first time that I was in the room.
Wow.
And wow, what a powerful woman. What a powerful woman to be with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's such a gift to have the link between the past
Mm,
Us, I was very fortunate too to have some time with my grandmother before she passed. That is such a gift to be able to be with our ancestors before they become our ancestors, right? So, what kind of gifts did
yeah.
she pass on to you?
Oh my goodness, so much.
Yeah,
Uh, Voice is definitely one of them. Like, she is not a person that would be walked over at all.
love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
And just the way that she managed our family and, fed everyone, kept everyone together, kept
Mhm.
everyone, meeting and being in the same room. Like, she was the gift, is the gift.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that so much. And we can learn so much from our ancestors in that sense of, preserving values, preserving, even a different way of being and living life. Our ancestors didn't have technology, so they worked for it.
Right.
We have this idea that somehow the people from the past, they didn't know as much as we do. But when we look at the archaeological feats that have been created,
Mhm.
we need to really check what we think we know, because we have this elevated sense of even righteousness, having access to technology. And I got to tell you, some of the simple medicine from our elders, from those before us, those
Mhm.
are coming back now because we as people really need it. I mean, this is the antidote on some level for spiritual amnesia.
Yeah.
We have evidence here on earth of what we've done, who we've been, what we can still do. But and I'm one of these folks, when we're locked into our devices and we're just doom scrolling, we
Mm.
forget what we can do. And so there's a frozen kind of energy that I see sometimes in people because they're trapped in that place of the past. The wounds, the hurts, the pain is so much that they can't go beyond the identity of that. So to hear that your grandmother was an incredible woman who gave you this wisdom, queen, now it's our legacy to move that forward, right? Whether we have children or through our friends or even through our work.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And can you just say a little bit more about the kind of like trinity that we have going on here, like past and present and future, and how we actually relate to that? Like, some people understand that they are words, and they represent an experience,
Right.
that we're having, or a perspective. But what does that mean, especially in relationship to spiritual amnesia?
Right. Well, we are so connected to our past experience because that's our life filters. So, how we see the world, how we engage with each other, how we even start to create what we want for the future are based on what we've experienced in the past. So, if all we've experienced has been hardships, struggles, and failure, our present lens is going to say to the future, I'm going to also experience hardships, failure, and challenges. And where we shift that in that spiritual amnesia bridge is in the moment of present being, because you're absolutely right. This is going to shift and change on a daily basis. Tomorrow will be Saturday. Today becomes the past. Even 10 minutes ago is now the past. But what happens is if our present being can just be open and even clear this mental slate, which gets really noisy with our old thoughts, to actually be quiet, to ask ourselves, well, what's possible? Then we start to think a different way. And when we start to ask ourselves, well, what did I come here to do anyway? That's when we start to remember. And then we get fired up. Honestly, Kai, I feel like everyone should at least, and I mean everyone on earth, should at least have the opportunity to sit with someone who's passing away because it's a very humanizing
Wow.
and awakening moment. I have had way too many experience of being there and watching people pass away as a nurse, and then also experience that with family to make me realize, wow, we've got to live now. not wait. And so when we're talking about these states of being, we as people, men and women, have the opportunity every single day to choose who we want to be, how we want to be, and how we want to see the world. I intentionally and deliberately take in a very, very small amount of news. I want to stay aware of what's happening in the world, but there is so much I don't have any control of. So I have to remember what I can control, which is how I think, how I feel, and what I say, and even how I respond to people, because that's constantly calibrating ourselves to stay in a place of what I would call energetic personal homeostasis. And in this season right now, with Mercury in retrograde, with all these retrogrades, people are hyper sensitive. You say something, they don't hear you right. Now they're upset, and you're like, why are you mad? That's not what I said. So there's this opportunity for us to have an evolved dialogue, to get out of our heads and to actually be in our hearts to receive each other, which is a whole different way of receiving, because our head is moving with the past, present, future thinking. That's why people are so stressed and anxious. They're thinking about what they want to have happen in the future when they don't even have the awareness of what that might be if they're operating from a past filter. If your past filter says, it's hard, I've struggled, I failed, that clouds their future. But if their present being goes, okay, well, let me take a look at what proof I've actually collected that I've done badass stuff in the world. If you can operate from that, then you've just shifted into a next level way rather than being in this old pattern. I hope that's clear for people, because I don't want to talk circles around spiritual amnesia. That's what we do.
That makes so much sense. When you were breaking it down the way that you did, and also to combine it with a humility of understanding that this is what it is. It's not more than, it's not less than, it just is. And we just get to be, right?
Well, I gotta tell you, I
Mhm.
just finished writing. My husband and I run a podcast together called The Answer, and we're answering usually one question at a time. And I just finished working on this episode called Why Do We Like Being Right? And that right there, that's a spiritual amnesia filter. Of course, we want to be right. Of course, we don't want to be considered wrong or be judged or criticized, because then we're now back in the old wounded past state. But if we can actually just hear where people are coming from, then that need to be right neutralizes, and we can just receive people. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, like as they are.
As they are, as they are. And you know what? People are actually perfectly imperfect as they are. But this quest to achieve some kind of idealistic perfection, it distorts your personal view of yourself, and it causes you not to accept your imperfections. It's a lesson in this life, because I thought about this the other day. I was in a coaching call with a group of other women, and one of the women was talking about how she felt really self-conscious about her teeth, and how she didn't want to be able to smile, and because people were going to say stuff online. And I'm looking at this queen, and I'm like, you're beautiful. You're you're beautiful as you are. But there's a part of me that's thinking, well, once I do this, then I'll have this. But there's plenty of evidence that having the perfect face, facial symmetry, perfect body, perfect bank account, those aren't the antidotes to personal happiness. It's how you're being in your head, your heart, your gut, where that alignment of that triad of yourself, it just lines up, and you're just like, well, this is just me. This is just how spirit made me, and screw it. I guess this is what I got to do. Okay. And you just step into it, you know? I was like, Queen, I hear you. I've got imperfect teeth too. I could have fixed this years ago. But then something came to me and said, the Most High made me this way. Why would I fight spirit? If this is how you made me, because I must have a soul contract around confidence, well, then let me learn to love myself. So my opinion of myself is way higher than what anybody else says about me. The moment I said that was when I woke up from that spiritual amnesia of needing other people's approval and validation to feel good. Like I set myself free. And Mel Robbins talks about this in her Let Them theory, about not being able to control other people's thoughts or judgments of you. So you let them have it. Go ahead. Think whatever you're going to want to think, because your job isn't to love me. My job is to love me. And if I can rock that, shoot, there's nothing I can't accomplish on earth. You know what? You know what I mean?
I mean, seriously, is there any question that's not the answer to? Like, it seems so simple that sometimes we can just like overlook it and go for the external validation.
Oh, overthink it too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's why I was like, oh, she's not hearing it. She's thinking that first she's got to do this before she can get that. And I was like, oh, Queen, you got to put yourself first. First, you got to love yourself enough to say, now I'm ready to have this. And then go do it. And then match who you were being after that experience, procedure, whatever you want. So then it's a fit, it's a calibration. Because I've experienced working with people where even after the work they put on themselves, there's still this part of them that feels like they're not enough. And that's spiritual amnesia in action.
Wow. Okay. So we've got one of the most common symptoms right here is thinking not enough, or exhibiting not enough, or demonstrating not enough, or being not enough, right? And the answer is just right there and so simple.
It's to first love yourself in a very gentle way. Not like, oh, I'll love you when ... And I'll love you if ... And I'll love you if you... And I just feel like, it's too much work. So what happens is we forget what our higher self's relationship is with us on earth. Our higher self has this unconditional love for us, whether we're doing things right, we're messing things up, we're making a fool of ourselves. It's this unconditional, that's the 5D love vibration from spirit right there. And it's already here. We just fight ourselves around it. But let me tell you, the moment you start your day and you say, you know what, today's going to be a great day. I'm going to have an awesome day. And I'm going to love myself. Not because I have to, because I get to. While I have this body, I get to. So I'm going to have a great day today. And now you just went in your vibrations. That's how I started my day this morning.
Yeah, same. I love this. Is love yourself, and the unconditional is silent and implied.
I totally agree with you, because I've had this quandary about how can you be unconditional about anything? Well, so as long as you're in a third dimensional body, which is in a polarized state of right versus wrong, light versus dark, there will always be this question of, is conditional or unconditional real? So our 3D love of ourselves is, well, once we prove ourselves, then we can have this. Our mind says, well, once we do enough, then we're worthy. But our fifth dimensional self, our pure God self, says, you are always worthy. You are always loved. You are always enough, because I gave you this assignment to come to earth and do something. Like, we can look at the science and see what is the actual percentage of the life on earth. Like, it's hard to actually survive on earth. And it's taken millions and billions of years before this planet could even be a houseable space for humans to exist. So if humans coming here and having this kind of life, that's a freaking miracle. And if we don't realize that every single day we get to step into the miracle of being ourselves, then we are playing a whole different game. And I want to ask you to shift that game to play where you win. You win. You get to win this life. Whether or not you achieve the $1 billion, marry the perfect person, have the perfect body, you being here is already winning. And that's awesome. Regardless of what kerfuffles are happening in the world that you cannot control, you can win every single moment.
Thank you. Thank you for that. My husband, who was just commenting, he often asks people, what game are you playing? And thank you, Anne Marie, for saying a game that I'm winning.
Yeah, you know that game life?
Mm-hmm.
That game is about the simplest representation of life on Earth. Granted, it's more like Western civilization life with your little car and your little house. Because, in places like Africa and Asia, they're like, I'd love to play life. Right now, I'm just playing survival. So the fact that we get to live an elevated version of life, man, if we're not counting our blessings there, you know what happens? They start to go away because we're not paying attention to them. So I like this game of life. At least my version.
Yeah, I love the way that you play it.
We've been bending rules the whole journey. We've been bending rules the whole journey. When I started my journey as a dreadlock in my mid-20s,
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till I retire from nursing. And I could see myself as this older Asian woman with all these white, beautiful dreadlocks. And in my 30s, I was like, how many people have you seen die? How many people have you helped die? Do you think you have the luxury of time to wait? And who are you waiting for approval from? I was waiting for approval from my partners at the time. And they were like, oh, you don't want to do that. You're going to look ragamuffin. Really? It was almost like they gave me a silent permission to rebel against that. And so when I began that very personal journey with the Most High Jah, I was like, okay, this isn't going to be the most easy route. I hear you. People are going to look at you and they're going to think one thing. Oh, she could be homeless. Oh, she could be poor. Oh, she might have a drug addiction. None of that is true. And you know what I think is even funnier? My husband and I, we don't like to waste food. So sometimes when we go to restaurants where they serve you gigantic plates, especially in Texas where everything is bigger, they serve you these gigantic plates. And we've walked away from restaurants before where those plates are half eaten. So we've just gotten into the habit of sharing. We'll share multiple plates and we high five each other when we clear the table because then there's no waste. But I can sense what people are thinking. Oh, poor things. They can't even afford to have their own meal. Oh, they must not have enough. And then he turns around and smack down $100 bill and pays for our meal. And we walk out and we're like, that was awesome. Because we're bending these rules for how we can live our life. So we're happy, we're fulfilled, we're content. And if I'm waiting to live my life based on somebody else's rules, I am never going to be happy. There's already a lot of rules that we have to live with in this country, especially as business owners. Why also have those kind of rules in your life that are so restrictive that you can't even breathe into who you are? So I love that your husband asked that. I got a sense that both of you are also rule benders. The truck's like.
There we go. So just to give people a way to continue connecting with you today, because today's conversation has been quite powerful. And there were some puzzle pieces that were dropped that really hit. Can you please let everyone know how they can join you for your meditation?
Absolutely. Well, you just have to hang out live here on Facebook. I'll likely go at 8:08 because it seems like a great time. And we are actually following whatever spirit gives us. And it seems like there's 8 mindsets that we're stepping into from past to future self. So I'm really excited to be able to share that. It's going to be here on Facebook at 8:08. So join me on my personal page.
Sweet, sweet. And just in case you need to see the spelling of Anne Marie's name, it's right beneath her photo and scrolling across the bottom. It's Anne Marie Pizarro. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And thank you for being willing to be a steward, for people through this powerful portal back to themselves. Is that okay to say? Like there's just
We're going back. We're
ah,
going forward into who we're becoming, right? Forward ever,
they
backward never.
never wait, one more time. That was awesome.
Forward ever, permission granted. Backward never. All
There
right,
we
friends, take that with you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Absolutely, Queen.
Awesome. All right, everybody, take care. Bye for now.
Bye.